Hey everybody, so back here with Blue, and one of the things I want to stress to you when you're starting a young horse, or any horse at that point, but really for a young horse it's super important to start them the right way. Talked about it in the last video. We're starting to use, now that we're starting to get the brain with us more, we want to get the softness through the body, so we want to deconstruct the body from the poll through the cervical vertebrae into the withers, through the thoracic vertebrae and the rib cage, and then through the hind end. If we get that going really well, we're going to have a great relationship with our horse by teaching them how to use themselves correctly. Going back to self-carriage, is that we have taught the horse how to live in our world and use themselves in a way that they would never typically need to do in the wild, but how to have a good partnership with us, which then creates a good self-image for themselves in a sense, where they have confidence, and then they're less likely to get injured out in the field or any other place. And then we can bridge that to when we go to show with them, we've got a good bond and relationship, and it's a relaxing, fun tool to do with them. And then it just helps in any discipline we're going to go into. So he's going to be a jumper is his plan, and so we want to do all of this foundation stuff to make him be the best that he can and feel the most confident that he can. Going back to like sports, if you ever played sports, say you played volleyball or soccer, you had to do techniques to move laterally and backwards and forwards really quickly. So if a ball was coming over the net, you could move sideways without even thinking about it to get to that ball. If you weren't taught to do those things and you would just fall down, you probably wouldn't want to get up and play volleyball or soccer again because you lacked confidence. So same thing with horses, that's why they become spooky a lot of times. So I'm just going to show you a few things that I've been working on with him, and getting him to deconstruct his body to reconstruct it. So what do I mean by that? I want to deconstruct the head. The poll is the only joint on the horse. It can move up and down and left and right, and then rotate together at the same time. Cervical vertebrae, shoulders, rib cage, hind end. A lot of the shoulder stickiness comes from lack of range of motion between the poll and C7. So as we do that, we want to make sure that we're helping him to get pliable here so the shoulders can be open, which is why I am not a proponent of any type of draw rein or side reins, because then you start to limit the movement of the neck. And in order to get a straight horse, you have to have a supple horse. So I'm going to show you kind of things I'm working on with him. So when I want him to be responsive to me and want to come towards me with the poll when I ask for the hind end. So I'm going to be asking for the hind end while he's walking forward to get him to move himself around me. So see how the head automatically draws towards me? So I want him to be stepping under and forward with that left inside hip, just like this. So see how the front end is going straight around the circle, and then the hind end was walking a half a track out. Then I stopped, he faces me. Now you can see that his left front is forward. On your camera, it's going to be the right front. I'm going to ask him to roll across and move that left front over, and then teaching him to then go forward. And this is his progress that we're doing, is like, so let's go forward. So remember, we have to teach these horses what we're looking for, and we have to bridge that gap because they don't know. So we have to teach them, we have to create the tool for them to use before we can use the tool. Good, stop there. Gonna ask him to reach there, that was nice. When we do that reach with the outside leg, it's teaching our horses to sit back on their hind end while being fluid in their body. So now I'm going to ask him to reach back across this way and then go forward. So I'm opening, if you watch what I'm doing, I'm constantly treating this like it's a dance and opening the doors, because I want him to be biomechanically correct. So as he's coming around this corner, and he's only 2 in a few months, is I'm asking for him just to not tip the nose out, but have the nose slightly dipped in, have the shoulder be in alignment, have the center of the chest be in alignment with the top of his poll, have his ears be parallel to the ground in order to use his body correctly, and have him relax into that. So if I walk towards that hind end, see how soft he is being on the line right now? Good boy. So I want to reward him for that, especially these little guys, these young guys. He's going to have a big, great, amazing career, and we want to make sure we're setting him up for success in order to do that. So it's easier for him to go off to the right than it is off the left. So I'm going to ask him to move the shoulder out. So I would like him to reach with the right front and rock back on the hind. If you replay that little section, you'll notice that he stepped across with the front end, and when he did that, he put more weight on the front end and less on the hind end. So he gets a little stuck right here. I'm just going to ask him to keep moving forward and be able to have a little bit more of that bend around me, and get that nose to dip a little bit more to the there, a little bit more to the left, because I don't want the nose dipping to the right, because what it does is then it kinks the neck. So it's got the nose to the right, he's got the neck to the left, and then it blows the shoulder out, and he doesn't get the range of the shoulder. So I might take my flag and go from the rib cage, which is where I want to ask him where my calf would be, and then I might bring that up to the shoulder. Good, 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 good. Now if you could see that in the camera, good boy. So now we get a nice big lick and chew. So what I'm looking for is I'm really looking for him to start to understand how to use his own body. Something that's imperative for us to do before we get on their back. If the horse doesn't trust us fully and they don't feel confident in their own body, that's when you resort to issues and the horse gets tight through the back and the head goes up, and then the horse just learns to tolerate us. So how many of you have a good partnership with your horse or feel that your horse is just tolerating what you're looking for? How do you know the difference of that? Well, if you have a partnership with your horse is going to want to be with you, but not on top of you, not because you give them treats. They want to be presently with you, but they have the confidence to be on their own as well. When you sit on them, when you go up on a mounting block, when you do anything, get on them from the ground, the head stays relaxed, it stays the same. You can touch them anywhere on their body and they feel very relaxed. If you think about it, they will do it. So if you're sitting on him or you're on the ground, if you ask something, they will just automatically do it by your energy and the way you're shifting your body, not through your hands. So I don't know if he'll do this yet, but we're establishing a good relationship. So I'm gonna ask him just to come over here. And I'm just gonna ask him to take one step to his right while I take one step with him. So I'm just gonna ask him to step over, one, step over. So see how that first step was really kind of relaxed for him? And as I haven't done that with him yet. I haven't worked on the lateral work with him, but in a sense, I already have worked on the lateral work, because when I ask him to roll the front end across like this, I'm working on the lateral side of the front end of the shoulders. When I ask him to move the hind end around, I'm asking him to move the hind end. So even though I haven't done lateral work together, he knows, he's learning how to do the front end, how to do the hind end. So now if I go to ask him to move that over, good, good. So you see how much softer that was? So that was the first time I've asked him to move laterally with me. But he wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't kind of show him first. So if you think about it on an easy, from an easy way, is that if you have a 1-year-old or 2-year-old child, 1.5-year-old, 2-year-old child that's learning how to walk, and let's say they're a little bit older now, say they're 4 actually, and they're learning how to do kind of like math. If you ask Johnny what 3 plus 3 is, and he says, I don't know, because you haven't taught him how to count to 6 yet, he's never gonna know the answer. So if you've taught Johnny how to count to 6, and you say, hey little Johnny, what's 3 plus 3? And he goes, well, I don't know. He does, he understands, we just have to go, okay, Johnny, count to 3 on this hand, 1, 2, 3, count to 3 on this hand, 1, 2, 3, put those together, what do you have? You have 6. So he understands, we've created the tool before we've used the tool, which is a Warwick Schiller quote, and it's a great one. But so he understands what I was asking for him to do. Just like if I ask him to rock back, you'll see the right front is forward, so most of the weight is on the left hind. So if I ask him to move laterally back towards me, and he just falls over with the front end, he's gonna be loading the front end, which is not what we want to do. We wanna have him thinking on the hind all the time and being light in the front. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set him up for success. So I'm gonna ask him on the point of the shoulder to take one step back and then reach across. See the difference there? So that is the difference when we're talking about these things, is teaching your horse really how to use their body fundamentally, biomechanically, in order to create the best self-awareness for themselves, the most confidence, the everything that we can do to help them feel like they can use themselves in any situation. It doesn't matter if you're a dressage rider, jumper, barrel racer, doesn't matter, eventer. Your horse should be able to move any way they need to. So soccer players predominantly go forward, but guess what? They do backwards too, and they do a lot of left and right. So even though that the soccer player might go from an offensive position back to a defensive position, is that they're still not just gonna fumble on themselves. If they all of a sudden gotta turn around, they're gonna rotate their pelvis right so they can move that different direction. If they've gotta go sideways, they need to know how to use their body in a way that's going to keep them centered and as strong as possible and as elastic as possible without getting injured. So it's our responsibility, if we're going to have any horse that we're going to do anything more than just walk with, is to be able to use themselves correctly. So then when we do get them under saddle and we do start to go into our sport of whether it be jumping or dressage or eventing, that we have a horse that's like, I can handle this. I know how to use my body. I feel so confident in myself and in my partnership with you that we can attack the course together, or we can do our test or whatever, and you have a relaxed horse. I will finish with this. It's very important. Have you ever gone to do a jump course, or gone to do dressage, or gone to do eventing, or gone even barrel racing, and you forget your pattern, you forget your test, you don't really know it that well, and as you're riding, you're going, what's my next jump? Where's my line? Where do I go to next? Or, you know, my dressage test, like what's my next test in dressage? So when you start thinking about those things, is that if you don't know what your test is, you can't ride your horse in the present because you're thinking about these other things of where you're going to be. So imagine if your horse doesn't know how to use themselves correctly, and they don't really have the confidence to be at peace, and they're constantly thinking that something in the outside world might eat them, and you're trying to manage that. They can't give you everything that you want them to give you because they can't be presently with you at that moment, because they don't feel so confident in their body to be able to just do it. And you should be able to bring your horse anywhere in the world, and if they've got a good relationship with you and they feel good in themselves and you've done all this foundation, your horse is going to be relaxed wherever you take them because they're going to be with you, and then it's going to be such a better partnership. Hope you guys have enjoyed this, and subscribe if you like this. More videos on Funky Blues. Such a cool horse. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.